Hello and welcome to another lesson. I hope you are well. We are just going to continue to expand on what we have spoken about. I'm not going to take too much of your time in this one. I just want you to understand one key simple thing, and that is cycles in price, because the cycle that we look at is going to be very important in terms of what we're going to talk about in the next lesson, because this is now going to start piecing the puzzle together. Cycles in price. Again, we see here, we have cycle number one over here. And this is going to be an example of all of them. Cycle number two. Cycle number three. And then over on this side, the last cycle of our quadruple, of our quarters, is going to be cycle four. And we now know, having watched the last lesson, if you haven't watched the last lesson, go and watch the last lesson, that the true open is the start of the second cycle. That is your true open. This is essentially what we're going to look to try and utilize. Now, you are going to have yearly cycles, weekly cycles, daily cycles, and then we're going to have session cycles, and then we're going to have micro cycles. So in the yearly cycles, that's 1 year equals 1 cycle. In the weekly cycles, 1 week equals 1 cycle. In the daily cycles, we're looking at 1 session, which is equivalent to 6 hours, equals 1 cycle. And then in these sessions, we are looking at well, actually, what we'll do, we're gonna have here 6 hour, which here is 90-minute cycles. That's essentially what we're looking for. So 90-minute cycle equals 1 cycle. I'll explain that in a second. And then micro cycles, we're actually going to split this really small, and we're going to do 22.5 minute cycles equals 1 cycle in price. And that is essentially what it will look like. So as an example, we would have something like year 1 here. We would have year 2. We would have year 3. And over here, we would have year 4. That's a yearly cycle. Vice versa, what we got here is week 1. In terms of that, in fact, something we have missed, I just want to put it in actually. So we've got yearly cycles. We then also need to do monthly cycles, and that is 1 month equals 1 cycle in price, because we also have month 1 here. For example, that's going to be a monthly cycle, and then we'll go to month 2, and then suddenly month 3, and then we'll go month 4, because 4 months here is going to be that there. We can then split into weeks, and then so on. You will have weekly cycles. 1 week would be 1 cycle, because in 1 month of price action, you will have week 1, you will have week 2. I'm not going to do this all the way to the bottom because you're essentially going to get the idea. Week 3, you're going to have week 4, and so on and so on and so on. That is essentially the way in which you're going to look at it. So we have here, let me just do the daily cycle. This is the opening price of the day. And then we're going to bring that 6 hours, because we're looking at a daily cycle. We're going to bring that 6 hours across to 5 a.m. UK time, which is our also true day open. And then, in fact, let me just change this. Let me go back a day so we can actually see the price action. So again, this day area, we're going to start from 11 o'clock UK time, which would be, and again, the session times are attached in the last video. So that there is 11 o'clock. We then have 5 a.m. UK time. That is your opening price range right there. We're then going to split that again to get the second cycle of the day complete, which finishes at 11. We then finish that at 5. And then we're going to come over and we're going to find 11 o'clock the next day, essentially. So this is one day split into 4. But what we're actually going to focus on is the third cycle. Now, you can do this on either session. There's, like I said, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sessions in price. This here is cycle 3 of daily cycles, which we know is the New York AM session, 6 hours. So that's what we know. So if we just focus on this now, we actually can split this even further. And this is now us splitting it into 90-minute cycles, which is going to split and give us a little bit more data and information. And then what we have here is the beginning of this particular cycle, which started here. That is your New York opening price. And this is price action's already played out. But you would want to be selling above, you'd want to be buying below, for example. And they're actually nice and close to each other as well. This looks like it was actually on a bit of a ranging day. Now, I mentioned in the last video when I like to trade, I like to have my position in a 2-hour window. I like to trade from the hours of 2 o'clock until realistically 4 o'clock, if I can. So that's the ideal trading time. And again, I'm just going to put that 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. UK time, which I believe would be 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. Eastern time. Just in case you're at the other end of the globe watching this. So that is ideally when I want to be taking a position. And this is where now time is really, really important, because even on a day which looked pretty bearish, not bearish, sorry, it looked pretty rangy. It didn't look like there was much going on. You can now see when volatility is kicking into the market. So you could have potentially got involved in something like this. Now, we can go deeper, and we will, but this isn't me saying that this is why we want to essentially go deeper. Because what we have now is splitting this 6-hour cycle here. And we're looking to split this into 22.5 minutes. So this here, this third cycle in the third cycle in the third cycle, which you're going to use as an example, we're going to go to this time here. Now we can't go 22.5 minutes exactly, so I'm just bringing this to the closest one. And then the next one is going to be right here. And again, I've put the times in the sessions which is out there because I'm doing this by eye at the moment. This is your micro cycle. Now that is 22.5 minutes each within a 90-minute cycle. I'm not going to do all of them because there are so many. You can do this in the London session, in the New York PM session, the New York AM session, the agent session. But now, if you split this up entirely, again, we have a situation where you've actually got another opening price because the true open of the micro cycle. So that is the New York AM true open micro cycle. So again, you could potentially get something around about here. Now, this isn't about here, the actual, and let me just tell you for simplicity, the main thing that you are concerning yourself with isn't the New York opening price. It isn't the micro opening price. It's actually the true day opening price because we're not trading on the 1 minute time frame. We are using the 1 minute time frame to identify something, which I'm going to talk to you about in the next lesson. But I just want you to understand how the cycles actually work, where they essentially start from, where they come all the way down to, because you've got the yearly cycles, the monthly cycles, the weekly cycles, the daily cycles, the session cycles, all the way down to the micro cycles. So what we're trying to understand is high probability moves, where we like to see things happen. And if we can identify that, we're going to be able to make our life as a trader a whole lot easier. We will expand on this in the next one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you on the next one.